All right, good morning. You know what time it is? Time for some business. Buongiorno. Top of the day. What's popping in your neighborhood? Big Rich, Queens, New York City, where we get busy. Mob Stories, Season 2, Friday morning business. Let's go. Pizza Pie Man has a big fan in Barney Bellomo. Of course, by Jerry Capisci from Gangland News. What's popping? 3 decades ago, Vincent the Gigante tabbed him as acting boss of the powerful Genovese crime family. 5 years ago, he is known to have taken over as the official leader of the so-called Ivy League of organized crime. Yet, Liborio Barney Bellomo remains an enigma, a mystery, a virtually invisible man both to wise guys and to the law enforcement community. But while Bellomo had stayed well below the radar, Gangland has it on excellent authority from reliable sources on both sides of the law. Barney has a very soft spot in his heart for pizza. Not the Italian delight that you can enjoy by the slice, but for Carmelo Carmine Pizza Polito, the antagonist whose conviction for the 1994 attempted murder of Genovese gangster Michael Cookie D'Urso was reversed on a technicality. Yes, that D'Urso, whose open letter to the mob last week was found in all media. Polito, whose federal conviction for the shooting of D'Urso and the murder of his cousin Tino was overturned in 2004 on the grounds that it stemmed from a $60,000 debt and not mob business, was inducted into the crime family within the last 2 years, according to the underworld, allegedly. He is now a respected acting Genovese capo. Sources say that in recent years, the gruff 60-year-old Polito, whose Astoria-based pizzeria, Polito's Pizzeria, I've been going to that pizzeria in Astoria since I was a kid, Polito's. So little did you know, I was already part of the mob story when I was 12 years old. What's poppin'? Queens, Steinway Street. For everybody that knows, Astoria, stand up. Sources that say in recent years, the gruff 60-year-old Polito, whose Astoria-based pizzeria, Polito's Pizzeria, recently relocated from its longtime home on Broadway. That's right, and they moved a couple of ways to Steinway Street, has risen from a debt-ridden, low-level bank robber whose cohorts once feared he might flip into a well-respected wise guy with a substantial loan shark book. Carmine Pizza, who lives in Whitestone, now owns handfuls of home and properties in Queens worth millions of dollars, according to Property Shark, an online real estate database. Sources on both sides of the law were unable to give Gangland any specifics, but they agreed that Polito is a made man in good standing under Bellomo, the 63-year-old wise guy who worked for a year or so as a paralegal after he was released from prison in 2008 and has avoided any contact with the law since then. We've carried him as the boss for more than 5 years, but I don't ever recall picking him up on a surveillance, which speaks to incredible discipline on his part, said one law enforcement source. He's a very slippery guy who seems to rule in isolation. What's the main thing to learn here? They could never pick him up on surveillance. You know why? The man never speaks on the phone. He probably doesn't have a cell phone. He's not on Facebook or Instagram. The man is off the grid. Huh? Right there. That's the blueprint for anybody that wants to live that life. Stop talking on the phone. Quote, he's like the invisible man. He's the way one underworld source put it. No one ever sees him. No one ever says, I saw Barney here or I saw Barney there the other day. But everyone says, allegedly, he's the boss. So I guess that's right. Can't prove it by me, but if he is, he's a great one. Unquote. Sources say that Bellomo's support for Carmine Pizza goes back more than 20 years when the FBI picked up evidence that Barney had voiced his support for Polito before he began a 12-year prison stretch in 1996. When he was arrested on the first of two racketeering and murder indictments, he resolved both in plea deals that did not include an admission of either murder. Turncoat Genovese gangster Cookie D'Urso obtained the information during the years he was wired up by the FBI and working undercover against the mob from 1998 to 2001. Again, disgraciad, again. But did they try to take a hit out on this man? Yes, they did. Yes, they did. And when you do that and don't complete the job, you have played your hand and showed your cards. That's what it is. In 1999, 3 years before Polito was charged with D'Urso's attempted murder and the murder of Sabatino Lombardi, Cookie tape recorded Capo Salvatore Sammy Meatballs Aparo stating that he had pushed for D'Urso to be made and for Polito to be whacked during the mid-1990s, according to an FBI report about the tape talk. Aparo said that wise guys Rosario Ross Ganji, Joseph Zito, and Frankie Machines DiMeo all thought that they should invite Carmine Pizza to a card game and murder him, according to a report by former FBI agents Michael Campi and Joy Adams. And Aparo said that two members of Polito's own bank robbery team, mobsters Carmine Baby Carmine Russo and Elio Chinatown Albanese, wanted to kill him because they feared he was going to go bad during the investigation, the report states. Sources say that during the time frame after D'Urso survived a bullet in the head in 1994, Cookie tried twice to kill Polito in shootings in 1995 and 1996, but failed. Aparo eventually told Cookie that he had been instructed to tell him to stand down and not seek retribution. On December 1999, D'Urso asked Sammy Meatballs, who was responsible for blocking Polito's murder. Aparo responded, "It came from the top, and all of them went to bat for Carmine," indicating that Gigante, Bellomo, and former acting underboss Mikey Domino Generoso were all on Polito's side, according to the FBI report. Sources tell Gangland that Alphonse Ali Shades Mangoni, a powerful capo who oversaw Polito's bank robbery crew, was the driving force behind Bellomo's decision to back Carmine Pizza. Quote, "He got Barney's ear and convinced him to tell D'Urso to leave it alone," said one source. Since 2007, when Polito was acquitted in Brooklyn Supreme Court of Lombardi's murder, law enforcement sources say that Polito had quietly worked his way up to becoming a made man while ostensibly being the upfront man for Polito's pizzeria. The sources say that in recent months, Polito has been functioning as an acting capo for yet another pizzeria proprietor, Capo Johnny Hollywood Brescio, the longtime owner of Lombardi's Pizzeria, which opened its doors in 1905 in Little Italy and claims to be the oldest pizzeria in America. While Lombardi's, which relocated years ago from its original location at 53.5 Spring Street to 32 Spring Street, is doing fine. Brescio's ties to the Genovese crime family have caused his stepson, Michael Gimarino, the current listed owner of the place, lots of grief in recent years. In December of 2018, the Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board cited Brescio's status as a Genovese capo in revoking Gamarino's contract to open the Lombardi's Pizzeria at the Parks Casino in Bensalem, about 20 miles outside of Philadelphia, some 2 years after a deal had been worked out between the casino and the pizzeria. In its ruling, the PGCB board chairman David Barsh cited Brescio's longtime affiliation with the Genovese family, along with his 7 convictions between 1977 and 1986 for offenses involving theft, illegal gambling, forgery, possession of a firearm, and heroin distribution, as reasons why the board rescinded Lombardi's license to operate at the Parks Casino. Brescio could not be reached for comment. Giamarino, whose appeal of the board's ruling was dismissed by a Commonwealth Court judge, appealed that decision last month to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. Barry Levine, who represented Bellomo in his last case, declined to comment. Attorney Gerald McMahon, who represented Carmine Pizza in his 2 trials, said, "As far as I know, he's making pizza in Astoria. This is all about Cookie D'Urso sticking his head out of the hole in the ground and trying to throw dirt on a guy who survived D'Urso's assaults and who was vindicated at trial of D'Urso's unjust accusations." Everybody have a good morning. Salute. Wipe your feet on the rugs before you leave. Throw some smoke in the air. You already know how we get down. Salute.